You're welcome. And today we want to look at how to create those curvy balconies. Actually, are they curvy? Yeah, they are curvy in plan, but as well as elevation. So, of course, the curve in plan is quite easy because it's a slab. It's just a slab that is chamfered. I don't know if you understand what I mean by chamfering. It's filleted, actually, not chamfered, because chamfering means that you create a corner. If I get something here, a polyline, and I start to draw something like a box here, when you click on any of these corners, you can actually chamfer, which is this option here, chamfer or fillet, the second option in the pet palette when you click on any of the corners. So we have two options, filleting, which is circular, and then the chamfer. So for chamfering, it's the corner, which is kind of something you're familiar with. Most objects in the real world don't have sharp corners like this. They're actually chamfered. But in this case, it's called filleting. So when you click on this option, you actually have this called filleting. I think I may need to increase the radius so you can see it clearly. So it's quite a simple thing to do with the slab tool. So then we have seen how to chamfer here, but then how do you do it in elevation? Because that's quite important as well. So in order to remove all distractions, I think I may need to pick any of these walls that are used for the balcony, which is the short wall for the balcony. And we are going to just only watch that one in 3D. So if I create this thing here, this marquee, we can actually go in 3D. And let's just watch only that, see only that in 3D. So I'm going to, yeah, something like that. So when you're creating a small balcony, you have something like that. And then we want to actually create a smooth surface along here. So in order to do that, you want to use the latest tool which Archicad introduced, which was introduced in Archicad 23. But then when it was introduced, it only had a few options. If I select here the openings tool, it had a few options which were just the square shape and the circle shape. And I'm sure some of you have tried to use some of these. But what we are interested in is this one, which is not present in Archicad 23, but starting from 24, I guess, is when you get it. And then here I'm currently using 25, and of course 26 and 27 will be having it. So what we want to do is actually very simple. I hope we are all together at this point. Please let me know. All right. Now we can go ahead, and then we can just create a simple shape here, which is going to be triangular, because what we want to do is to get rid of a half of this in a simple way. So we will just draw a shape on top of this wall. So we are just going to create a simple triangle. I'm going to just draw a shape right here. And once I finish the shape with this hammer tool at the end, you can see that we have done that, which is quite easy to achieve. So once you have put in this shape, you want to make sure that it is in the perpendicular orientation. So we have a few options here. If you have any of these, they may not work. You can see that it's oriented differently right now. So you want it to be in a perpendicular to the wall, in other words. And the other thing that you need to be aware of is this one right here, this option. You can see that right now it's not going through. If I click any of that, it is halfway, but you want to make sure that it is actually going through, which is the limits option, the first one. So you can see that now it's going through the entire shape. And of course here you can change where the reference, where it should be referenced from, but because we are working in 3D, none of that is really, it doesn't matter that much. So just those two. One is make sure that it is perpendicular to the wall, and then secondly, make it go through the entire wall. And once you have done that, the next step is to smoothen this. And what I like to do is to add a node that is going to help us to do it, because if you try to curve it, you can actually just do the normal curve, which is this one here, because if you click on any of the edges, you can actually create a curve like that, and you can see already we have something here going on. But if that's what you're going for design-wise, it's quite okay, but I need something smooth in here and then something smooth from above. That's what I'm kind of looking for. So I like to add a node in the middle. So I'll go ahead and use the first option here to create a node. So once I have created it, it's right here on the center. So I place it on the center such that I'm able to control the lower part different from the upper part, because when we put a node here, once I click on this one, you can see now we are affecting only the upper section. So what I want to do usually is to use this tangential arc, which is the third option in the pet palette. So if you use this tangential arc, you can make this first arc tangential to this line, this upper line. Okay, so you make it tangential, and now we get something quite smooth, a tangent. I don't know if you know what a tangent is, but it's just something tangential to a line which is drawn along this part. And then we want to do the same for the lower section and have it tangential to the line drawn on the ground on the lower part. So by doing that, we have something quite smooth. We have this lower section and this upper section. Of course, that will work if you have a node in the middle. Someone let me know if whatever I have been talking about has been clear and loud. And
so Alan,
yes, please.
I just have a question, because I've also been, doing it differently. Whereby I'll just go in the elevation and I sketch out what I want, and then feed it, and then mold it. I don't know if that's double work.
Oh yes, that was necessary for the earlier versions of Archicad. It was quite necessary, but in this case, we are trying to leverage a new tool such that it's quite easy to actually, do something quite simple.
Because I really love spline thing, really.
Yeah, it kind of simplifies work.
But even this, I need to try this out.
But then also, maybe just to, it's actually necessary to use elevation if you want to get something quite accurate, because here in 3D, you're kind of trying to create a generic kind of look. But if you want to be a bit more precise, what you want to do is to create an elevation, and in the elevation, you kind of sketch over what you want. Let me try to open a simple elevation here. Just a simple one. Let's pick, all right. And I'm going to limit it such that we don't see the rest of the building. Open view with current settings. So what you want is to sketch here the exact thing that you want, and then you go ahead and do it. So assuming that perhaps the dimensions we used were not correct, and we wanted to refine it, sort of, okay, saying that maybe perhaps we wanted a different shape. Let me create another shape on this other side. So I'm going to just increase its length such that we have more working space. So what if we wanted the kind of a similar thing? So I'm going to draw it here, and then perhaps this one doesn't touch the ground. Maybe it stops somewhere here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and it's stopping somewhere right here. And then I say, okay, this is the shaping that I wanted. Maybe this is, I see this is 397. Let me remove that 97 in the dimensions such that it's 3 meters. Because elevations are quite precise. If we have this 3 meters away, and what we are trying to achieve is a shape which fits in there and doesn't touch the ground, maybe it leaves the 300. So I'm removing off such that it leaves 300 from the ground. And for those who are using imperial, I'm just using metric, so it's millimeters. So I'm leaving a foot on the lower side, and then making sure that it is I don't know, 10 feet on the width. So if you try and create that arc within here, what I'm trying to do is actually draw a line across here. Yeah. I'm not sure if you guys can see it. Let me try to make it red such that it's quite clear what I'm doing. So if I have this line here, and I try to sketch the curve that I'm trying to achieve. Like I said, I create a node in the middle of this thing. So you can see I have a node right in the middle. And then all I need is to create a curve below here and create another curve here using the tangential thing. So you can see that it's quite smooth like that and like that. So I'm assuming this is what I actually needed. So the one disadvantage that we have is that this openings tool doesn't work in elevation currently. So what you want to do is to add it in the 3D, but then come in and, you know, adjust it here in elevation. So I'm going to do that. If I go to 3D, I'll just create a basic shape that follows what we were trying to achieve. So I will pick the opening tool and just create a, I don't have to be precise, I just create something here. And making sure that whatever we talked about has been followed, making sure it's perpendicular, and then it's also going through the entire wall. And in elevation, we can go ahead and do what those things we wanted to do. So you move this node and make sure it aligns with where your reference is. Move this node and make sure it aligns with where this is. Create a new node in the middle, which is likely going to be in this exact point. And once you have actually the reference stand on this thing here, it's called what? I forget the names. It's a guideline. Yeah. Once you have guidelines stand in, you can actually know where the middle is because you will see that small arc. So make sure it's a node actually, and then you create a node here, and then we can go ahead and create the shape with tangent on the lower side like that, and then tangent on the upper side as well like that. So you can see that we are using elevation to achieve something quite precise, which is dimensionally correct, and as opposed to, you know, making something a bit more generic. But of course, everything has its place. Sometimes you want to be a little bit generic just to prove the idea, whether you like it or not, before you can be precise. So it's important that you try in 3D just to achieve the thing, and then you can see whether you like it, and then you can make it precise in elevation. Is that okay, Akram?
Yeah, it's okay.
All right. Anyone who has a question before I let Brian do it for us, and maybe we can chime in and say something like that, because that was it actually, because now what's left is to take it to the building, and we have ourselves a good balcony. Yeah. I'm definitely not going to add it on the balcony, but that's the sort of idea. So I'm going to go and show Mercure in 3D, and we should have it hanging in space, something like that. So you can see what we have just created is hanging here in space, and it can easily be added on the thing.
So Alan, is it the same process with the glass as well?
For the glass, or for the railing?
No, the railing.
The railing, I just create it and let it intersect. I just let it intersect, and sometimes you can see I just continue it to this other part.
Okay.
So yeah, that was it. Maybe something to be aware of. I tried doing it on this arc. It doesn't quite look neat because it's coming from this side and then this side, and we have some little bit here, but it also depends on what you actually want. Some of these things you can always go in and clean them, but also I think it's important. Let's do this. Okay, let's use the next, I can see here, about 10 minutes before I hand in, such that we can do something, because I think you will encounter some of this. If we have this part, if we wanted it to curve, to drop as it's coming here and then to rise as it's going this other side, we might want to try something different. Not different, but you may encounter something. So let's go and create an outline. I'm going to try to create an outline across here. Just drawing a shape. I'll go ahead and create this, that, and that, and make sure that it's an arc. So even if I pick now this wall, alt clicking it, and I space click it in here such that we have that curvature. So I'm going to go in 3D just to make sure we just pick that. Right click, show Mercure in 3D. So we now have this alone. So let's try and create a place where this comes down and then it rises. And for that, if you want precision, you can go in elevation and create this half and then create this other half as well. But let's just create something a little bit simple. And in order to do that, you would just pick the openings tool and then create the shape. And obviously, we are creating the shape in this wall, but remember the wall adds this other wall. So let's go ahead and create the shape in this first wall. So I'm going to just do a simple thing here, and you can see that we have that, but even if we try to increase it, it's no longer affecting this other wall because it's a different wall. And if we try to actually add that wall, because when you click on this pop-up menu, when you click on this thing, it has this, I don't know what it's called, but you can add elements. So we can add this element here, and you can see it disappears, obviously, because we are covering the entirety. But we want to make sure that this is in line. So I'm going to move this node such that it's in on the ground level, such that, yeah, you can see that now it's covering a bit of that. So we have that happening, and we want to also do the same thing this side. So let's pick this guy and draw the shape. And for this one, I think I may go ahead and, you know what, let me just draw it here, and then we can edit it later, just to make sure it's an actual rectangle. So let's expand it And secondly, we want to make sure that it's stopping on the ground, it doesn't go below. Yes, just like that. And then I try to add this other element. I'm going to say plus, and you see, I try to add this other element. Yes, like that. Yes, it's been added. So you can see we have some challenges, partly because it's quite hard to have this thing smooth, because these are two different shapes and they are affecting things differently. So in order to have something quite smooth, we may need to divide such that this arc stops in the middle, and then we have this arc going all the way and stopping somewhere here, and then this arc going all the way and stopping somewhere here. So what we want to do is to actually divide this. Yeah, so I'm going to just come here and decide where I want it to stop, and by the look of things, I'm just going to use this reference, because if you have an arch, it's showing us that this is the half, so I might as well just divide it into half. And I want to make sure that what is selected is the wall actually. So I'll go ahead and select that wall. Make sure that it's the one selected. Great. And then we split it. So let's split that. And then we have half of it this side and half of it this other side. And in 3D, we want to make sure that the right elements have been assigned. So if I select this shape, you can see now it has that element and that element and this element. So we want to remove it from the other element. Good. And then we want also this one to be removed from the other element. So I'm just trying to remove this second element such that, you know, right now we have something a little bit decent, because this arch, this opening is affecting this wall plus this small arch, and this one is affecting this wall and this small arch. And of course, now you can go ahead and do the crazy things we have been talking about, things like having a node in the middle, and then you smooth out the lower part and go ahead and smooth out this other part. Yeah, something like that. And then you go ahead and do the same thing here. Create a node in the middle right here and smooth out the first part. Where are you? And smooth out this other part. All right, so we have something here. No, it's not quite perfect. I mean, it could be better, but I think I'm pretty happy. Yeah, so that's it in a nutshell, what we wanted to talk about. So you can go ahead now and tell me what you think